Okay, living your dream. So what I'm going to talk about in the next 15 or so minutes is basically about success. And I'll start by a quote by a very famous writer and poet, Bernard Shaw. He said that you need to be unreasonable. And when he was talking about unreasonability, he said that the reasonable man adopts to the world. The unreasonable man persists that the world adopts to him. But success is to those who are unreasonable. Does that make sense? Have you been in situations where you say, I won't do that because someone else is not doing it? So that means you're adopting to the world instead of making the world adopt to you. So if you're looking to becoming successful, there are a few things you need to look at. Just like we started, we all have different understanding of success. There are some of us who are already successful because they have got internship in MTN. And they don't want anything more than that. There are those who are successful because they have worked for MTN for 10 years. That could be your definition of success. But what is key is that if you want to be successful, what does it take and what do you need to put in place? One of the things you need to pay attention to would be set your goals. Set your goals. I hear people at the beginning of the year saying, I've set these goals. And at the end of the year, they don't revisit them, but they simply set new goals. Does that help? Can you relate to that? You see, this year my goal was to lose weight. So next year you don't review whether you lost weight or you added on weight. So what you do this year, you simply say, my goal is close to the other one of last year. Then you can't be successful if that is how you look at life. I'll give you an example. My ultimate goal is to work in a consultancy full time. When I started my career, I did a bit of work in the consultancy space. But I realized early that I did not have enough experience to keep me in the consultancy space. So I asked myself, what do I need to do? I said I needed to join a corporate organization. I said, okay, how many sectors do we have in Uganda? There are 3 sectors. You're either working in the banking sector, you're working in the telecom sector, or you're working in the oil sector. But the oil sector is still young. So in the last 4 years, I've had 3 jobs in 3 sectors. I can see that is a shock. But the reason why I'm doing that is because I have a goal. And for my goal to be successful, to be a renowned consultant, I need to have worked in 3 sectors. I've had the privilege to work with Coca-Cola. So if someone talked about manufacturing, I can still speak. I've been lucky to work with the telecom. I was in MTN for a year, but it was one of my best years. I moved on to another sector. But what is key for us to note is that what is your goal? If you want to be the next MD of this company or CEO, what do I need to do from today to get me there? If you want to be a manager and the friends you have are not managers, then how will you compare notes with them to become a manager? Because they're equally not managers. But you want to be a manager. Does it make sense? The second one that is very key for us is take responsibility of your life. I've had the privilege to be in HR close to 7 years. But what I hear a lot is that HR is not helping us on career. HR is not doing this. HR is not doing this. And at the back of my mind, I ask myself, when do you become yourself? It's easy for us to get someone else to blame. But we forget that if we wanted to do anything about ourselves, we need to start with ourselves. I like a very interesting quote from a gentleman called Kipling. He said that we have 1,000,000 reasons, but when you look at them, we do not have a single excuse. Does that make sense? The best example I can give would be in Uganda, when it rains, people come late. But the question there would be, if it rains for a full year, would you turn up to work? But it's a reason. But there is no excuse to that, because you can buy a raincoat, You can decide to buy an umbrella, but we have the excuses and we enjoy them. Someone said that we have practiced our excuses, that they have reached a level where they have become part of us and we are comfortable with them. Why haven't you made it? You see, my boss is not good. I would have been the next man, but my boss. But unfortunately, the guy across does not get to see that your boss is bad. When they ask, kindly tell us Abdul, you'll just say he's not a performer. Because you don't know the story between the boss and him. So that is key for us to take note of. The third one is self-discipline. If you did a quick study about the most successful people, one of the key things they have is discipline. And I think Africa would be way ahead of any other countries if we had discipline. Our biggest indiscipline is time. When you tell someone we meet at 8, he will turn up at 8:30 and the first thing he would say, but you see there is traffic jam. How long have you been in Uganda not to know that we have traffic jam? So if we keep on using the same reason, does it give value? No. You ought to have discipline. Discipline is a key factor. And I usually tell people, when you get jobs and work with people, I usually tell people, for you to test whether you're relevant in the organization, you pass a room and tell them you're resigning. When no one is shocked, that means people have been waiting. When are you going? And it's very serious, because if you're valuable and you said you are leaving, everyone must ask, but where are you going? Can we do something? But if people are asking, when are you going? You may even find some people in the corridor who tell you, but you told us you're resigning. And at the back of your mind, you're saying, I wish I didn't say that. But that's very key for us to take note of. The fourth one would be self-development. Self-development, in the next session, you'd be talking about technology and how it's changing the workplace. In the changing world, you're only as relevant as the information you have. If you no longer have relevant information, then you're irrelevant. So what am I trying to say? In our setting, we think that when you get a degree, then you're done with reading. So we never read anything. But I usually tell people that for you to realize that you need to learn a lot, get time and look through the papers. If the job's in there, the qualities they're asking for, you don't have them, then you need to get worried. That means you haven't learned anything. But also, when you get into the workplace, what the degree helps you do is to get in. I've worked with people for quite a long time that I don't even know what they studied. What is important? Are you a performer? But you can only perform if you keep on developing yourself. So it's key for us to keep on developing ourselves. The other one would be about reading. How many of us at least read an article a day? Okay. How many of us have only read one article at least the last year? You see, reading is not our culture. That is why they usually say in Africa, if you wanted to hide anything, put it in a book yourself. But unfortunately, you cannot stay relevant if you're not learning. Become a lifelong student. Back in the days when I used to work as a consultant, I would read close to 24 books a year. These days I became a bit busy. At least I read a book a month. What am I trying to drive? The world is changing at a fast pace, that if you don't know the changes happening, you won't be relevant in the next 2 weeks. And that is the reality. At the pace at which technology is coming, most of us who are very comfortable with our titles, the titles would go away, work would stay, you'd work in teams, but you won't work in a team if you don't give them any value. And that becomes very key. The other bit is that We must be willing to take a few risks. We have been brought up to be very risk averse. But you cannot be successful if you're not unreasonable. Does anyone remember the earlier quote I started with? For you to be successful, you need to be unreasonable. Make the world adopt to you. And when I tell you taking risks, when I had just come back to the country, I must have applied to close to 100 and plus jobs. I only got invited to 2, and I was only invited because I knew someone. So ideally, I wasn't invited to any. But I had an opportunity to simply say, I have failed. Let me close the chapter. What am I trying to drive at? You'll fail a number of times in your life. But just like John Maxwell says, is that even when you fall down, at least pick something. What is the learning I get from the times I've not made it? Because truthfully, you'd fail. That's a given. You will fail. But the issue is not whether you've failed, but the issue is how much do I learn from the failing I've gotten? I think the other one I wanted to talk about was create a one-pager of your plan. There's a common saying that we all have dreams, but they are only dreams if they do not have goals. So have a dream, put a goal to it, but also put in place a plan of you implementing what you're supposed to implement to enable you get where you want to go. So based on the time I was given, I'll say thank you. I'll stop here. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Abdul. Are there any questions? This is your time. This is your moment. If you need some clarification, if you need to grow, you need to ask the questions. It's one thing to listen to people and you leave with our resident questionnaire.
I'm glad I've got a title. I hope we are well. Abdul, I would like to think that the question I'll ask is on behalf of a few other members here. You talked about making several applications and ideally not being invited to any, considering the circumstances around the 2 that you're invited to. And I know that a lot of us, or many of us have been through it. And I meet lots of people the times that we have trainings and all, and as you interact, they keep saying, we are not getting jobs, we are not being invited. So I'd like you to speak to someone here on how you actually manage to dust yourself up and actually keep on, but also how did you actually get invited? How did you polish yourself up to make sure that you get invited to the next opportunity that led you to wherever you are right now? Thank you.
Thank you. One of the key things is that on the several times when I didn't get invited to any, I kept on asking myself, what is the one thing that I can be proud about? And I was privileged. I had a first class in my master's. So all the time I would tell myself there will be a window for me. But secondly, even when I did not get, I asked myself, how best do I get to be known? So I decided to do a lot of volunteer work. One of the key things in this country, people never want to be volunteers because the thinking is you need to get paid. But like Warren Buffett said, that you can only be paid based on your value. If you do not have value, then no one would pay you. You may have a master's, but one of the things someone will tell you is you haven't worked for anyone, so you only have theories. So for me to mitigate that, I decided to do volunteer work that would get me exposed. And at the back of my mind was that if I did a good job as a volunteer, chances are I would get invited to get an opportunity in the company that I'm working in. So that was one of the tricks I used. So it worked for me.
Me, I'm asking, what can one do to remain relevant in this dynamic world?
Read 24 books a year. No, that's supposed to be a joke. But what is key is that unlike ever before, we have a lot of relevant information readily available for us. For those who have LinkedIn accounts, there is a lot of information on what is happening. But a lot of us spend a lot of time on Facebook. Facebook would not get you your next paycheck. That is why some of us, when we get to interviews and they ask you, what is your salary expectation? The first answer you say is that I don't know your structure. The company structure has nothing to do with you. What is key is, what do you think you're worth? You won't have a value if you're not up to date with what is being required in the job market.
You talked of volunteering. But for me, the volunteering I know is mostly in NGOs. I've not known most of these corporate companies having much volunteering. So how do you spot the opportunities?
When I talked about volunteering, I didn't say that it must be a corporate organization, because at the end of it all, someone is looking for your ability of having worked. Whether it's an NGO, you've worked, you've learned something. Because the issue here is, how do I build my experience? You can only build experience when you have something you're doing. If you're not doing anything, then you don't have any experience to provide.
Another question? Sorry, I've had an opportunity to work with Abdul, so I know that he has a lot of knowledge. So I'm tickling him for a lot of our sex or sake, whichever. You talked, or you mentioned something about when you are giving you gave one of the examples you gave was about excuses that we give for failing to perform. Me coming and saying, oh, my supervisor is not kind to me, so I can't perform. I know I have encountered with a lot of people who have that excuse. What would be your advice to such a person if I am not performing because my boss is a bad boss? Thank you.
I had an opportunity to work with a bad boss, but I realized way early that the only way I would protect my job is to make sure that I delivered on everything I had to deliver on. Because the advantage of that, someone from another department, if I get victimized, someone from another department will tell you, but this guy is involved in this, he's running with this. So you get very many people to defend you. But just like I said, that the guy across does not know that you have a problem with your boss. So if they asked him about the individual, he would simply say you're a non-performer. So what am I trying to drive at? That even when you have a bad boss, there is a common saying that we don't choose our bosses. But that does not mean that because you don't choose them, give them an opportunity for you not to perform. I like watching movies a lot, and in one of the movies by Al Pacino, he said, life is a game of inches. And the one who is willing to fight more for the inch gets the inch. So in the same setup, in as much as your boss is a hindrance, keep on fighting to get your inch, to enable other people realize that you have value you're putting on the table. Because in many of these organizations, you'd have bad bosses. That's a given. And one of the reasons why we have bad bosses, it may not even be because, it may not be their problem, but just because organizations have had a culture where if you're a good technical performer, then they think you're entitled to get to the next level. And yet the next level, you're judged on how much you care about people. So as a manager, 70% of your job is people. It's not your technical skills. So if they don't give you a transition that gets you to the manager position, then you'd be a bad boss. And it may not be because of your making. So thank you very much. I hope I've answered all your questions. Have a nice evening.
Thank you so much, Abdul. Really, thank you. Another round of applause for Abdul. Like one of our colleagues said, Abdul is one of those people really, I can testify to that. He was actually my boss at one time. And the joke I make is he put a fire under me and I had to jump up. And I'm here partly because of that fire, you know. So there are people who impact you in different ways. And one, like she said, we always want to pick associate with people that you can benefit from. Every time you have a chance to talk to them, ask them questions, any questions. It's sort of some form of informal mentoring because there's something you gain from them. So pick your friends very well, associate with people that will help you and build you. Okay? Thank you so much again, Abdul. Wish you the best. Okay, Brian.
Thank you, Betty. And someone asked about volunteering mainly in NGOs. Actually, private entities have tried to move towards setting up opportunities for volunteerism. In most cases, it may not necessarily be the field that they're in. However, they look out for ways of developing the communities. So in such cases, for example, now, this is Yellow Care. It's a volunteerism initiative. And everything that is being done is based on voluntary basis. So the private entities are going into that space quite a lot. You just have to look out for the opportunities and latch on one if you find one. We're going into the next program, the next item on the program, which is the panel discussion. And we've been privileged and honored to have some very affluent and professional people that are going to join us in this discussion. Yes, so I'm going to invite a gentleman who is known to many. He's an ecosystem builder, and he's an IT guru. He has helped set up the CEO Summit, and he used to be the head of talent at Uganda's largest utility. We all know that one. And he will give us a little bit more information about himself. And this is none other than Japheth. Japheth, you're welcome. Please clap for him as he joins the stage. We also have a lady by the names of Hajat Mayanja, or that's how I choose to call her. We were with her on Tuesday. She is the founder of Smart Girls Foundation, and she has done it all. She has been a businesswoman. She has worked at an affluent firm, but she gave up all that to drive the agenda of the women in technology. We are blessed to have Majanja Jamila here. We also have the executive director of Keron Relief and Development Foundation. He's also he has done business. He has worked in the corporate world, and he has some amazing innovation and creativity that he adds to everything that he does. He's here to help us and guide us on how, as youth, we can move to the next step in the business arena. Let's welcome Ronald Katwala. Last but not least, we have the gentleman who will also be our keynote speaker today. He's a serial entrepreneur. That's what he chooses to call himself. So basically, he's a tried and tested businessman. He understands the entrepreneurship world, and he currently has a chain of barbershops. Very, very different, right? And he invests in agriculture, tech enterprises, and real estate. Allow me to welcome Mr. Agume Bless to join us. And of course, the circle wouldn't be complete with our very own gentleman who has worked with us for a while. And he's one of the members that drive the mobile financial inclusion agenda from the MTN family. Allow me to welcome Solomon Mayanja. Okay, so this afternoon, we want to talk about technology. Because MTN is a technology firm, primarily is ICT. However, it is the generation that we're in. We're in a technology era. Every other day, something new comes up, some new technology comes up. We spend most of our times on the phone, and especially the group that we're trying to address here. And of course, needless to add, we are one of the youngest nations in the world. So the two move hand in hand. As fast as technology is growing, is the rate at which the youth population is growing. And so it is very important for us to discuss this. I will throw the first question, business-like, as fast as we can. I'll throw the first question to Japheth. And just before you answer, I will ask that you just tell us a little bit more about you so that we can understand better and appreciate where you're coming from. The first one is, how has the field of technology changed in the past 5 years, and what do you predict will happen in the years to come, next 5 to 10 years to come?
All right. Thank you, Brian, for the invitation. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Yes, excited to be here this afternoon. My name is Sike Japheth. I started an organization called the Innovation Village. It's located in Tinda Complex opposite St. Luke Church. We have 2 floors with 110 startups, young companies, operating in 6 sectors, building solutions in 6 sectors that solve some of our biggest challenges. And that has all come together in a space of about 4 years. So 70% of our work is focused on technology, but we know that technology is not in mind. It's just a means. So the other 30% are mostly entrepreneurs who have come up with new creative ways to solve everyday problems. So what we're trying to achieve is you've all heard that Uganda has been accused to be the most entrepreneurial country in the world. Are we the most entrepreneurial country in the world? Regardless, 95% of our entrepreneurs are dying in their first year of operation. So what keeps us up at night is how do we support entrepreneurs who are trying to solve problems, who are trying to create jobs, who are trying to build something they truly believe in. I think in respect to the question, Brian, it's a very interesting one when we look at the past 5 years and the next 5 years, especially around technology. I think we've seen a lot of changes and how technology has created new companies, regionally, globally, and also locally. Right now, if you are following trends, you'll see that Facebook is joined by about 5 companies to create a new currency in cryptocurrency that they are going to call Libra. But then Facebook is going to create an application that they are calling Calibra. You know, I like how the two sound. But and what this literally means that you're going to be able to buy, sell, send money through your WhatsApp, through your Instagram, and through, if you have a phone, then you have a bank, right? Now, that's today. But if you go back so many years and you Google, if you put in Google Facebook growth curve, you'll see that the first time Facebook was set up, it was just set up to be something that is going to connect students and faculty at a university campus. That was the entire objective. It wasn't set up to do all of these things they're doing. It was just set up to connect students and faculty at the university, right? But if again you Google Facebook growth curve, you'll see that they had a phase where they grew where there was no growth in the company for about 6 years, and things were not happening for them. And then eventually, it started growing up, and has never stopped. So what I'm trying to point at is technology has a way of redefining how we look at life, and it moves as fast as it can solve problems out there. Locally, we're increasingly seeing very many young entrepreneurs build solutions that are solving problems, raising lots of money and getting backers who believe in them. But as far as what we're trying to achieve at the village, for example, next year, is we intend to build 100 companies annually going forward from next year, of young startups and entrepreneurs who are solving problems leveraging the power of technology. So you're welcome to pick up a conversation on what's possible. But above all, for me, the power of technology is that you don't know where it's going to lead you if you keep pushing hard enough to discover, but more importantly, how you're solving problems that are faced by people, everyday people.
Thank you, Javeth. And that brings us to the next topic of discussion. The technology is changing very fast. And we have had discussions of how are we all moving along with the technology. And this one I'm referring to Jamila. It seems to be mainly dominated by the men. And you talk about Facebook, you talk about Apple, all these Bill Gates and all that. It's an area dominated by men. And of course, we have learned that you are driving that agenda here within Uganda. What are the challenges, in your experience, have the girls faced in this sphere of technology in the past, and how do we move forward in that area?
Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Jamila Mayanja. I'm the founder and team lead of Smart Girls Foundation Uganda, an organization that empowers and supports girls and women. We are not feminists, but we are passionate about making sure girls rule and believe in themselves. Yeah? They change themselves and change the communities that they live in. Under Smart Girls, I started a program that Brian is talking about called the girls with tools, where I train girls in male-dominated careers, that is mechanics, welding, carpentry, driving trucks, and electronic installation. Why did I do that? I started that program with exactly what Brian is talking about. The challenges girls go through when it comes to technology, when it comes to STEM. Because with STEM, every particular science, engineering, mathematics, in general, there's ICT related to it. Let's start with just the basic. When girls are growing up in a family, if you've been in a family, who is first given a chance to own a phone? Who can answer that? If you've grown up in your family, imagine your family. Who owned the phone first between boys and girls? I can't hear you. Yes. It's just as simple as a phone. In our community, our cultures, we believe it's a boy who should own that phone first. But don't we girls communicate too? Do we have friends to call? Girls, do we have friends to call? Yes. We are all in the same schools. Girls would also love to Google something about photosynthesis. Very simple, right? Because right now technology changed. We have girls, we have actually kids in primary schools using, I see parents giving their kids tablets. When they come back home, instead of sitting with them to do homework, they tell them, Google it. Yeah? A simple Mr. Google, sir, will tell you everything, right? But in 80% of our communities still believe up to now, when technology is quite high, that it's boys that should be in those careers. When all of us have brains, have legs, have hands, right? So the biggest challenge for girls has been breaking those culture norms. To have our community appreciate that as a boy with a brain, a girl has the same brain and the capacity to use that technology to empower herself and the people around her. When you look at the girls I train in mechanics, something as simple as mechanics and using the technology connected to a car helps build their self-esteem, helps believe in themselves. We get a few girls that they cannot speak, but by the time they get up to explain a car and how it works, it's quite amazing. And them sitting on a phone and looking at how a car works and they can relay it to what they've been taught, amazing. Yeah. Then we have girls believe that technology is not for them, but the technology they need to learn, the biggest challenge is the technology of a home, of sitting down and cook. Who has seen Chef or Raphael on Facebook? Yeah, you see? Have you learned a few things or two? Have you met him in person? You've met him over a phone. So, but our society believes we girls supposed to be in the kitchen, learn from our mothers, who even when you give them a phone, you have to type for them a message sometimes. I'm not saying all your mothers, by the way. Some. Yeah? But if I'm empowered, Jamila Mayanja, and I can use a phone to Google and teach, I've taught my mom, who is does a niqab, how to fully use the phone to communicate to us when she can't get us when she calls. So she knows how to even create a WhatsApp group. Put her children onto my friends, people, my kids, it is next week, who is bringing money. But she did not study. She did not, she has learned those from us. But imagine if it was a house full of only girls and all their relatives told our mother, do not give them phones or do not give them access to internet. How would our mother survive alone at home? You know what I'm saying? So there are even some schools who believe that when they have a computer lab, it's boys who should access those computer labs. Forbid, hope they get a beating if they're still there. Yeah? So it's the challenges we've gone through is mostly the gender inequality and the cultural norms that we are trying to break to help you believe society has changed. That when I'm married to a man, it is okay even when I'm dressed this way, if I'm a Muslim, to go down and work on your car or to get up and put on a helmet and work on your house and for me to sit in a truck and drive it. I'm not going to. Can you imagine some of the people when we are teaching girls truck driving, they say we are breaking their virginity? So that is the culture. So when we break those norms, the technology will change us and we'll enjoy it for the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great insights there. Great insights there. And I know you came with some of your girls, and they're at the back. They have an exhibition area. You can always pass by and see the great work that they're doing. Now, moving into the business sector, the entrepreneur sector, many youth are trying to get in there. The statistics are staggering, as Japheth has already talked about. And my question, and this would go to Bless, would be, how does technology, or how has, or will technology change the field of entrepreneurship in Uganda? I know you're a serial entrepreneur, and some of your entrepreneurships are based and built on technology. How has this changed the arena, and how does it continue to make it better for the youth in this field?
Thank you, Brian. My name is Agume Bless, and I'm an entrepreneur. I run a number of businesses, and that's how they refer to people who run businesses, many businesses, serial entrepreneurs. So it's not some kind of, what do they call that? It's just a title for people who run many businesses. Back to your question, how will the technology, I mean, for me, technology is just about making money and saving money. If technology is just a cool thing, for me, on my end, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If it's just about going to say hello, no. I'll give you just a few examples. MTN, they are in the technology business, but they are not growing because they are a huge company. They are growing because they make hundreds of thousands of people make money through their technology. And for that, they are going to stay here for as long as Uganda exists. They also help us save money. I run a number of barber shops, about 28 of them, across the country. I should be on the bus every day, going to visit this one in Kitugum, in Kabade, in Masaka, in Mbade, and imagine the risks we have on our roads. But with a phone call, I'm able to follow up. With the internet, I am able to follow up, as I will highlight later. The applications that can help me track my business just on my phone without having to travel. I think you get my point. So the way I see technology is more to do with how it helps us to make more money and how it helps us save money. And with that, I am one of those beneficiaries. I am making money through technology. I have never gone to take a school. When I want a solution, I look for people who have studied those coding things. His institution in Intinda has many of those. They are very good. You pay them some little money and they do magic. And for me, that's it. If I can get the magic done by people who have studied how to do magic, and then I make money and I become richer, the rest is a detail. Except again, in line with the same, it is going to increasingly become cheaper. Technology solutions are going to increasingly become cheaper. I used to fear to hold a phone because it asked for service fee. You remember? Those of you as old as me. Service fee, whether you have made a phone call or used it, you would pay it. Then they removed it. Now you just have to pay. Now I receive more of the messages. Your bundle has expired. Those ones. But it's a lot cheaper now. So technology the solutions will be cheaper. And it's up to us to take advantage of the cheapness to exploit the opportunities in them. And believe me, there is money. Let me just leave that at that.
Thank you, Bless. Well spoken. Business is business, and the bottom line counts. Thank you very much, Bless. Now, Ronald, you're in an area where you deal with development, relief, and areas that affect our communities. In your view, what are the most critical changes that we must make, especially for the youth, and to face and to utilize these technology changes in business and in our communities? I know these days was talking about social enterprises, and you cannot take the business from the community. They are interlinked. What, in your view, are the most critical changes that need to be made, especially for the youth, to face these changes?
Well, my name is Ronald Katwalo, and I'm the founder of Caron Relief and Development. I deal with social and economic issues in the communities. One of my programs is school sponsorship for orphans and other vulnerable groups, not only orphans. Then I also do health support for mainly children that have been born with neurologic problems, those with hydrocephalus, those with heart problems. They come to the office. I write a proposal about it. When I get money, we pay for the operations. I also do waste management. I'm teaching about sensitizing people about the dangers of throwing kavera to our environment, how we can reduce, how we can reuse, and how we can recycle. The other program that I have at my organization is skills development for the youth, which I center on. I have I've created a computer program. All these programs are free of charge for youth who are interested in learning computer, okay? And those that progress go into other fields of photography and videography and all that. So the main aim for the youth development program is create jobs. Back to Brian's question, he asked how the challenges can be averted in our communities using ICT. Now, I wish to inform, I know that all of you know that the world is now a global village, okay? So whatever you're doing at either community level or at personal level, if you want to create a competitive advantage, one of our friends, there's a lady that asked a question in the earlier session saying, how do we remain relevant? If we have no jobs, how do we remain relevant? Well, I'm happy to inform you that there are platforms now that are created by the ICT forum through social media, through all these other, that you can use to remain relevant, irrespective of what you're doing. I'll give you a small example. A while ago when I was doing my master's degree here at UMI, when I had resigned, I didn't have a job, but I was growing my butunda somewhere, passion fruits, okay? And I knew that I needed market. I'm trying to answer that question of how do we remain relevant. So I decided to make sure that in the evening as I go for class, I inform everyone that, please, I have passion fruits. If you're interested, this is my number. So every time I would be leaving home, rather in the morning during the course of the day, people would send me orders through WhatsApp, okay? And I was selling one kavera, one paper bag of 60 passion fruits at 10,000. So at the back of my Jeep, before I left home, I would have about 100 kaveras. And by the time I got to UMI, everyone would come, oh, did you bring mine? Did you bring mine? And within 30 minutes, everything is gone. So ICT can be used to make money. Okay? Can be used to make money, and it can be used to look out or to go to a bigger audience. If you have a product that you're selling today, you may not be able to trek from Tinda to Bugolobi and the rest. You will simply go online, put your products there, and those that are interested in this product will be able to contact you. So at our level, I will give, from my organization, for example, it also applies to organizations. My organization is just 1 year old, okay? When I created it, people say that NGOs do not survive their first annual anniversary because they are not donors. Okay? But for you to survive, you must invest. You must put in something in order to remain relevant. People must see what you're doing. Okay? So the first thing I did was to create what they call quick wins. For those of you who have done marketing and management, I first went realized there was a need in my community. Okay? Sponsored a few children without even, I did not have a donor at that point. I sponsored a few children, took photographs. That was my evidence. Created a website, put it up there, and then I started promoting it. So one of the donors that was coming to a neighboring NGO had seen mine online. Okay? Had seen mine online and asked, where is this organization found? And this, of course, deducted him. And when he came, he found that there was evidence. And this is all the power of the internet. Okay? He found there was evidence. And when good enough, the day he came, he found when we were interacting with children and we had what was online was being implemented. And before I knew it, he said, okay, what other area are you interested in? Are you only going to pay school fees for children? He said, no. I'm a dynamic person. I can go into waste management. And he's the one that is paying for what? For waste management. So, create your products, put them online, okay? Promote. Technology is meant to create that competitive advantage. For those people that are running NGOs and they think you're going to go to Europe and move from one country to the next looking for donors, no. They can see it online. So I think that's how we can handle some of this.
Thank you, Ronald. And I think just to cut directly within that field, and especially innovation related to the technology, MTN is known for having come up with quite a number of innovations, proudly to say. But we have Solomon here, and the question I'll ask Solomon will be, as far as MTN is concerned, how has the technology and the technology changes that you have, the mobile money solutions, enterprise business solutions, the ones that you bring up, the data solutions, how do you feel that they have contributed to the development of not just the nation at large, but also contributes to the advancement of the youth in this topic that we're discussing of youth empowerment?
Thank you, Brian. My name is Solomon Mayanja. I work in the contact center. And I want to relate with this question regarding technology and youth empowerment. I do believe my first job placement was in the contact center. Maybe just to give you a brief background, this is a hub where we receive and make calls to our customers. I think to me, it's a hub where we make use of our brains, we make use of reasoning, we reason, we think, and resolve customer queries using technologies. We boast of the best contact center in the country, employing around 300 to 400 people. Why do I take pride in serving the customers? One, my first job from university was to work in the contact center. When I look through the contact center, it's mostly dominated by youthful people. It's quite a dynamic job. We use a lot of technology. And among the issues that we have in the contact center is mobile money. Mobile money is a radical departure from the traditional payment methods that we used to have. Instead of making payments, for example, making water payments, electricity, of late we've linked it to banks, what we call push and pull. So by using mobile money as one of the best cash cows we have in the company, we are staying more relevant. We are giving value for money to our to all the users, and we can say we are very proud to have a robust network whereby we are linked up with so many agents. By the agents, we mean people can have startup businesses working as mobile money agents, which of late people in the banks are trying to copy. They have Dukas, but this is equally employing a big number of people, thereby contributing to the tax base of Uganda. I thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much, Solomon. In due course, we'll have. I know there's a lady who joined us a bit late, a senior manager, who would like to add something to that, but we will get to that a bit later at the end. Just as we come to the end, I would like each of you to consider two things. One, what is the question that is not being asked here? Right? And what is the one thing that you would like everyone here and everyone watching online to take home from this panel discussion? I will start with you, Japheth, and then we'll go around.
Thank you, Brian. That's a hard question, considering it's not a question in the first place. But I think I like the audience, very many young, youthful, innocent eyes, hungry, right? Hungry to make it, hungry to achieve, hungry to become the serial entrepreneur. So I think for me, the one question that's not being asked, when you sit on the other side and look at these guys talking big and successful, you take a step back and look at yourself and say, what about me? How will I ever get there? Or how do I, overcome all of the challenges I'm facing? And how do I, and you can ask yourself a million hows. I know, because that's exactly where I was, and that's who I was. I think the question is around how, and beginning from where you are, and I think for me it's simple. If you go back to the Bible, that story of the prophet who asked the lady, "What's in your hands?" We know that story. Those of us with the Bible, right? What's in your hands? What do you have? Where can you begin? Right? So ultimately, you're going to face so many challenges as you try to overcome or trying to go where you are going to go. For me, rule number one is it's going to take time. You have to be patient, but 100% you have to begin from where you are with what you have. Now, this may sound a bit off, but for me, what has worked for me is I've refused to believe every time I was told it's not possible. Every time I was told it's not possible, even by people brighter than me, I refused to believe because I was convinced that people will tell you it's impossible if it's impossible for them. So a number of them will reflect the limitations they see on themselves for you. So if you go on believing that it's impossible, then that just might become your story. So I was telling my friend here, come up with a dream, come up with a vision, and after you think you have a very big vision, my simple advice is double the size of the vision and then start working on it, no matter how long it takes. Thank you.
Over to you, Jamila.
Yes, it's hard to answer a question that is not asked. But to concur with him, it's very true. What is not, that question will be, most of you may be wondering how, the exact question he's answering, how do I stay relevant? Let me give you just one small thing. What has driven me to work with literally nothing is the passion. and challenging myself. That's it. And I challenge my girls every day. They come and say, manage this, like, try. Don't fail to try. Yes? And do not create standards for your success. Do not create standards. You can start with literally anything. I have so many other programs in Smart Girls. Like, for example, look at the immediate things that are in front of you and try and see how can you use the exact technology, as simple as maybe if you don't have internet, maybe as a phone call or a message to solve the problem that is next to you. How? Like in my organization, I have something called the Smart Bag that I developed to help keep girls stay in school during their messes. It's just because a girl next to me, I found out she couldn't afford as simple as a reusable pad, but when I still gave it to her, she was still not staying in school. Then I still sat down in my sitting room and I was like, how do I still solve her problem? And that's how I came up with a smart bag, by just using a pen and pencil, but also not just thinking about myself, but thinking about that girl that I met. My Girls with Tools is thinking, how may they make themselves better and believe in themselves? How I came up with the program, The Girls with Tools, I was watching a cartoon called Zootopia. Who has watched Zootopia? I was watching a cartoon and I was trying to think, how do I make girls and women believe they can be better than a bunny that is in a movie that believes they can be a policewoman? You understand? How can a cartoon be better than a human being, really? Yeah, have that high self-esteem. And with a human being, have that high self-esteem. So you understand? I'm going to give you a few simple tips. I'm not going to say much. First, challenge yourself. When you're thinking about a business and using technology, do work you care about. Do work you care about. Take the risk. Don't be afraid. Believe in yourself. Have a vision. Find good people. Let me tell you, we people are the best and also our biggest breakers. If you work with someone who will tell you, no, that doesn't work. I've worked with a number of teams. I've changed teams. I've chased people just because it's not because they have the skills, but because I can't stand someone who does not believe in me. I believe in myself much more, but I do not need another human being thinking that I'm a side door. No. I don't need your negativity. You're out of the door. So find those people. Do not let any nigger tell you that you cannot do it. You understand? And also, do not wait for a car. Do not wait for land. Start with what you have. Your hands, your voice, your eyes, your legs can make you richer than that guy of Facebook. You get me? Mostly the ladies who are here. Yeah, you get it, eh? Yeah? Ladies, come on. Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I'm all also for manpower, but the ladies here. So, what I leave to you is challenge yourself. Wake up every day and ask yourself, what is something different I've done to make myself happy, the people around me happy, and to make myself richer? Yeah? Thank you.
Thank you, Jamila.
Is it still the same question? All right. I would like to talk about the power of an idea. Okay? I believe that everybody is unique in a way. If you have an idea, people have different dreams. You may not benchmark from what he's doing in order to make it. You may have your own idea. Usually they say that most entrepreneurs are considered mad until they make it. Someone comes up with an idea that everyone thinks may not work, is wasting his time, but just because of that consistency and persistence, he makes it, and then all of a sudden everybody wants to do what? Yes, to benchmark his idea. So, the power of an idea. When you have an idea, the most problem that we always have is that we have so many ideas. We dream big, and most times we tend to do so many things and fail to concentrate on one. Okay? If you're going to do something, give it your all, or do not do it at all. Why? Because the biggest resource that we have is time. Therefore, if I realize that this is what I can do. This is my capacity. I cannot become a doctor. This is what I want to do. I want to go into, say, the making of interlocking bricks. It is an idea that people will underlook because they think, okay, it's not a posh job. It's not in a very good office and all that. But I decide that I want to make interlocking bricks. I have done my feasibility study. I have realized that there is the need for this idea. What am I going to do about it? I am going to give everything I have for that idea. Okay? So in the end, when I start making my first interlocking bricks, just because one made his and failed, maybe did not have the zeal to go and look out for market, did not have the zeal, the passion to continue, encouraging people, reading more online and saying, you see, this technology is new, it is cost friendly. Instead of constructing a house for, say, 100 million, with these bricks, you can build a house for, say, 50 million. For as long as you have everything on your tips, you become believable. We understand? We become believable. And in the end, this idea, once you promote it, people will start to identify with it. Why is MTN, for example, known everywhere? Because they have been consistent in promoting themselves, consistent in promoting the idea that even if you just looked at the 3 letters, MTN, from a distance, you know that that is a mobile company. So, create your idea, stick to it, push it. Push it. Or you either do it and give it your all, or do not do it at all. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I've never gone to an arrangement like this one where the moderator tells you to ask yourself a question and then you answer it. Big ups to you. You are unique. But back to the whole thing of technology. I told you, for me, the bottom line is making money or saving money. If it does not do any of those, it is not technology for me. And I am serious about this. The question is, however, at what level do you exploit the technology opportunities in your community to start making money or to start saving? Are we together? Because this comes at different levels. The way MTN thinks of technology is different. It is operating in crowds. You can't start thinking like MTN. In fact, you will find that the MTN director or CEO thinks for MTN like that, but he cannot afford to think like that for himself as an individual. Are you getting my point? So we must start where we can and where we are, and with the opportunities within our circle of influence. For example, I have a friend, she's called Jenny. I also have friends who are boys, so don't just focus on Jenny. Jenny, like many of you, are these MTN staff? Mixed, eh? But like many of you who are seated here, you are here because you don't have what to do. That is, did I tell you I'm a Mchiga? So sorry, some words just escape by accident. Take them lightly, don't take it so personally. Eh? If you had a job, you would be there, but you are here. So let's take it the way it is. You are not alone. We are many youths who don't have what to do. And it's because we have no jobs. And Jenny is such one of those. Many. And it so happens that she is so good at Facebooking. That one, 24/7, you can give it to her. So one time we had a chat and we said, but what are you good at? And he laughed and said, Facebooking. And we said, okay, how can we make money with Facebooking? And Jenny said, there is no way we will make money by Facebooking. I said, okay, let's find a way. Let's put a product. And we communicate on those popular groups, Mama Tendo, Manya, those things. She was good at reading those Mama Tendo stories of my husband cheated on me and had the courtesy of bragging, those things. So Jenny posted, she said, but I don't have anything to post. I said, you don't have to have anything. Jenny went and posted a bag and a shoe and dresses from her friend's, her sister's shop. She took pictures and posted them, and she said, if you want a bag, call me. This bag, 90K, 20K. Meanwhile, she had picked them like at 30K. You know, downtown, the downtown uptown syndrome, eh? You pick and you sell up. At a heart, that was the cost. She's now a role model for me. Jenny did that for several months. And as destiny, I don't know how to complete that one, but Jenny is now going to China direct. How? In between, it is what this gentleman was already sharing. For him, he used to go to UMI and tell colleagues, Jenny informed the people on Facebook that I have bags. In actual sense, they were not her bags. She did not have stock. When you order the bag, she goes and picks it and delivers it. Transport costs, they are inside there, in the cost she gives you. And she makes money. She was making money up to 100K before she said, no, now I think I need to take it to the next level. Jenny is making money. The last week I saw she was driving a new Alex. And that's all she does. And this is true story. So it's possible for you to enter technology opportunities, Facebook or WhatsApp. If you can sell passion fruits on WhatsApp, who are you not to? Thank you.
Thank you, Bless. Thank you, Bless. And I know we are going to hear much more from Bless after here. He's going to come and now have the direct Muchiga communication to us live. Solomon.
Esteemed colleagues, I just want to summarize this whole talk in just 3 words. When I look at the 3 variables before us, we have the youthfulness, we have the technology, and entrepreneurship. I think when I look at the 3 variables, they complete the jigsaw. So what we only have to do, I'll just borrow a biblical quote that says, whatever thy hands findeth to do, do it with thy might. We are still young. We can get dirty. We can still learn, unlearn, relearn. And God will bless the work of our hands. I thank you very much.
Well concluded, Solomon. Thank you very much. Those are really life-changing words, and I hope we have taken note of that. Now we're going to have just a brief session of questions, of comments, and then in 10 minutes we should be done with that, and then we'll have a word from Blessing straight to us. Any questions?
Yeah, my name is Henry Ugasira. I work in SIM registration. It is a question and a supplement to the madam with an organization supporting and empowering women in all their activities. Are you unique in your organization, the way you do your activities? You support, empower girls in technical skills. Those jobs, those skills were far back done by us, men. But you have empowered them, which is very, very, very paramount. However, I've got a challenge. We are in a telecommunication company where we have internet 24/7. You learn this, learn this. And the telecommunication companies or corporate companies employ women or girls, most of the intakes they bring in are women. But they have failed to get in touch with the empowerment they are crying for. Amidst, like the presenters talked about people Facebooking, if you pick one of our own and say, please come and have this, you will see what they will tell you. So it is a very big challenge. I don't know how you're going to expand to your organization to see that those skills, the way you're doing it, gets a broadband advertisement on media. I don't know how it, but here with our women, a lady sees she wants water. She finds a can is empty on a dispenser, and she looks at you. Please come and help me. What kind of empowerment do they really want? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. That's funny. It's so fortunate for us, alhamdulillah. We started this under my organization. We started this, the Girls with Tools program last year. And we started with just 5 girls with the school that I partner with called Cheyunga Vocational School. It had also only boys, yeah. But when you had the girls come in, the 5, and then they put on those overalls, they can stand up. I don't know if the ones in the overalls. And whenever they would go to the community dressed like that, the first thing they would think they are garbage collectors. So people would actually call them to collect garbage. So, but when they would call them, they would start the conversation. Bad press is always also good press, right? So when they would engage them, it attracted more ladies. So I understand what you're saying. Everybody, when they see our girls are powerful, and it gives them, technology gives girls mostly such as those, the self-confidence and the self-efficiency to not wait for someone else to do for you something, but also give you the voice to say, you know what, this is heavy. Let me call someone to work as a team. Because in such technology, which is hardcore technology, and you're connecting with soft technology, needs a teamwork. The girls, we train them to work as a team. The equipment that they can't carry, that is very true. But nowadays, do you believe there's technology that can help them carry that equipment to where they need it to be? Let's say a full engine. So, inshallah, like the way MTN has done for us, we didn't have enough equipment, but MTN bought us toolboxes just recently. First of all, Galowa MTN, please. Yeah? So we are growing, and I am very, very hopeful. We've reached the organizations that you're talking about. We reach them to have us enroll their ladies. Right now, we do not have the facilities yet. We do not have the structures yet to having a big number. And we have less people coming at a fee. Most of the girls, we cater for them as an organization. Some who come to pay and then look at structures and like, yeah, you understand? But those who stay, when they come out of the program, are quite changed. They're not, let's say, what you call that, the girls are so independent, they do not want any help. But the girls with Groom and the girls with Tools and Smart Girls are the kind of girls to believe, I can do this, but as a team, we can actually do it better. But I know I'll reach them. Trust me, I'll look for those girls and empower them in Smart Girls, inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamila. Sophia, you had something to say?
Good afternoon. My name is Sophia Mukasa. I'm with MTN. Currently, I'm the senior manager for enterprise products and marketing. So basically, I deal with the business customers. I have not been part of the panel, and I've listened to everything. However, there are just a few comments I would like to make, and it's part of my sharing program. as part of my life. I would like to just give the comments so that all of you can benefit from them. But maybe from there we can get more questions for the very nice panel up there that can give you the real world experiences. So in Africa, 70% of Africans are below the age of 30. I think you know the statistics, right? So all of you are part of that generation. What that means is that you need to open up your eyes. You're part of a generation that is a marketplace, are the customers that you're going to have in your future. Okay? So what this means is, first of all, you're so many. Second of all, connecting to all these people that I've talked about is very cheap for you. Like one of the panelists said, if you're on the internet for just slaying, can you think about being on the internet for making money? It's the same thing. You can actually use that to actually make money. But however, what I would like to also say is that you need to leverage the opportunities that a big population like that can have. Some simple things like the basics. People need to eat. What can you do about that? People need to sleep. What can you do about that? People need to dress up. I'm just talking about the 70%, you guys. What can you do about eating, sleeping, transport, education, the basics of human life? What can you do about that? Right? The other thing, and also what can you do about just leveraging the African culture, the one that involves people living in communities. Your families are extended families, the whole of Africa, extended family. How can you leverage all that to actually be relevant in this world? And then the other thing that we've seen as MTN, when we're interviewing young people like you, your generation Z and millennials, you tend to think you have to tell us about your marks, which schools you went to, I don't know, all the things that are totally irrelevant in the working world in this generation. You might have skills that you underplay, but you need to show us those things. Do you have any experience in anything? Telling me that you know how to bake cakes can get you that job, yet you're asking for an IT job. It just shows that you're someone who likes exploring. You see? Telling me things that show that you have a good attitude can actually get you that job better than someone who has all the certifications. Why? Because the skills we are looking for in this generation and in the future, technical skills, they are very useful, but I think like one of the panelists said, degrees in the globe are becoming a little bit irrelevant. So it's about your attitude. Employability skills are attitude. Are you creative? Are you open-minded? Can you actually work with a team? Are you collaborative? Can you communicate? These are the things we are looking for. So your experience it's useful, but it can become very irrelevant at the same time. Then the other thing I would like to tell you about is also from our experience, money is not everything. It can contribute to your wealth, but what can make you more money, which is the wealth, is again, simple things, the basics, the things that make you different from other animals in this world. What is your attitude? What is your integrity? Integrity can get you more money. How creative are you? Again, she has been talking about how she's transforming girls. She's opening up their minds. What is your, how much can you give back? The panel there is giving back. They decided to come from their offices to talk to you. MTN is giving back to you because it knows when you go back, you will use the skills gained here to actually gain more and maybe be our customers in future with all the technology we are bringing to you. However, it starts from giving back. That gentleman just talked about how he worked with a lady on Facebook and etc, etc. Now she's succeeding. He just gave some of himself to this lady. Giving back advice, things like this, supporting people with skills they don't have for free, volunteering. How many of you have done volunteering? It can move you places. And then being very open-minded. When I started, I said 70% of you is the future of Africa. What can you see from that? Okay? So it wasn't a question, it was a comment, but it was basically to show you that on this side of the world, these are the things we see for you.
Yes, thank you. Francis Xavier Kalinda is my name. From Uganda Matters University. I do ethics and development studies. Brian asked you a question. Actually, you skipped the question about technology. Where are we going? Where are you seeing us going after maybe 10 years or 50 years? You skipped it. You didn't answer it. But you've talked about the benefits of technology, profit maximization. As an economist, I can't judge you. I was happy about him because you care about sustainability, right? If you don't understand what sustainability is, utilizing the available resources, develop with them resources. So my question is, are we safe for this booming technology? You're seeing infrastructure development, investments, that is technology. But it's affecting our climate. So you've been talking about the benefits of technology, making money out of it, but you're not talking about the risks of technology. Whereby you're a farmer, right? And I also know about farming because seasons are now changing. The dry seasons are no longer dry seasons, and rainy seasons are no longer rainy seasons. That's because of technology. You understand? So my question is, because of the increased carbon emissions in the environment and increased global warming. So please, my question is, are we safe? Because even the highly technologized countries like China, you hear some parts they no longer breathe. They put on masks. They are doing carbon trading. They are coming to Uganda, putting in their infrastructures in Uganda because their countries cannot manage the carbon emissions. They are coming to Uganda and they are destroying our environment. So please, I want you to talk about the risks of technology, regardless of the benefits. Thank you.
And Japheth, are you taking that one?
Interesting one, and it's a valid concern, very valid concern. I'm impressed it's coming from a young gentleman. I think it was yesterday I was watching something online, and it was in Los Angeles, and traffic in a busy street with about 8 lanes, and there was a gentleman seated in a Tesla, but he was sleeping, a self-driving car. So busy traffic, but this man is sleeping in the car, and the car is moving. And then fellow travelers called police, reported the man, but the car is a self-driving car. And I don't think I skipped the question about where we're going, but I think we have the choice as humans to decide how we're going to use technology. Yes, it does have adverse effects. I think you've seen, again, so many posts about families around the dinner table, but everybody is in what? Is looking at the phone. That's probably even the simplest adverse. We're losing that personal touch. So it's, I think it's a difficult one, but I am encouraged by so many initiatives still out there that are using technology for good. We have the option of looking at what could go wrong and worrying about it, or we have the option of trying to understand then how do we change everything that is happening given that potential potential negative impact that technology has. I choose to be on the side that's trying to understand how can we use technology for good, technology to solve problems. A gentleman I follow, normally, I think he said that we tend to think that technology just doesn't happen. We make it happen. And he gives examples, and he was explaining why he's doing all of these things in technology. So he gave examples of the Romans, and says if we don't try to improve technology, we can even forget its positive impact to us. So he gives examples of the Romans, and he says back in the day, they made aqueducts where the water passes, right? That was the technology that they used back then that was so advanced that is not even available today. So we forgot how to use that technology. If you look at the Egyptians and the pyramids they built, the technology they used to build the pyramids was forgotten. They can't rebuild pyramids as they were built back in the day. So regardless of those negative effects, which are valid, we can't take it away from the fact that it's already happening. We see the negative impacts of things like artificial intelligence. I think there's still some good in how we choose to use. And my call is, if you really care about those, especially the negative impacts, sustainability, my encouragement is that you take up the mantle and begin to see how far can we go with creating a better environment or better good for using technology.
Thank you, Japheth.
Let me answer something small. I'm also impressed by you. You're seeing a problem, but I would love to challenge you. I would be very more impressed if you analyze that problem and come up with a solution that would help technology be safer. You understand? Because we can't avoid it. Everything has a disadvantage and an advantage. So there's a lady who, what he has shared about families having phones while on a dinner table. There's a lady in her family. She has rules. Yeah, they come as a family. They have like a time when they're eating. It's talking. Then they have a time, phone time together, and they keep on sharing. So it's a simple like system they created in their house so that they can make use of the phones and make use of the personal time. I would be beyond impressed as you've seen that problem, and we need the technology. China. You understand? Yeah, the world grows with people like you who see a problem, but not just talk about it, but can sit with other amazing minds to think of a solution. I also challenge you to make us safe.
Okay, I will talk about it in the sense of a business environment. Without technology, without, like we said in the beginning, that the world is now one global village, okay? And one of the ladies said that 70% of Africans are out of jobs. They are youths. 70% are youths, and probably most of them are looking for jobs. We have to understand that the population of the world is growing, and as it grows, resources become scarce. As resources become scarce, there is in science what they call survival for the fittest. Survival for the fittest means that you have to, in order to remain relevant, like someone said, you must invent something that has not been around. The same thing with Kodak that the CEO was talking about, and Instagram. So either you produce a product today and you consistently maintain that product, and you do not want to, because it is a trendy world. Okay? It is a trendy world. People think every day. So if you produce a product today and it is doing so well in the market, and you think that it will always be like that, sorry, people are going to think about something new that will keep you out of business. So technology helps us to learn new insights of how to keep an edge. Keep an edge always if you want to remain relevant. Okay, so that is the positive side of technology. Then the negative bit about it, when we come to business, to businesses, all organizations have what we would call confidential information that we may not want the public to know. Okay? Therefore, if, say, today you woke up and decided, or maybe one of the disgruntled employees decides that, okay, it seems my stay here is limited, I'm going to pick whatever is here and then I put online. Whatever goes online does not come back. Because as you decide to go and delete, someone has already downloaded and it is on their phone. Okay? So, yes, there are those negative advantages, but we should find ways of averting them. And that is where other solutions now that you can tap into. You know that we need our information safe. Can you go and learn IT and become a security expert? There would be a job there. So, as it comes with challenges, those challenges also come with what? With opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. We're going to have one question, one comment. And Brian here, who is a social media expert, has comments that are coming in, very good comments, especially for our panelists, that he would like to read as we close this.
Thank you very much. Tobo James is my name, from Classic Baking and Catering, Uganda. Last year I attended the same event, and I told my colleagues that I was 1 year into the business. And today I'm reporting that I'm 2 years in the business. So if you come back next year, I'll tell you I'm in the third year. Why am I doing this? Because I'm trying to tell you that you're looking at MTN, you don't know that MTN started small. Okay? Now, I'm talking about IT or technology because right now, my office is not on the street. That's the first thing. If you looked for those of you who have visited my office, especially Val, Nelson, and the other MTN staff, you realize that I am deep inside there. But what am I using? I'm using technology. I'm using IT. I can post here and I get a client of 2 million. I can post here and get a client of 550,000. I can post here and get a client of 60,000 because that's my cheapest product. Now, why am I here? One, I'm an entrepreneur. Not just by, of course, I also have a degree in entrepreneurship, but that's not enough because I have colleagues who finished with me the same course, but we are not on the same level. So entrepreneurship is overrated. Wake up in the morning, look at what you have, identify the opportunities, just as we are saying, and it does not require much because I tell people my first business was actually I did 2 businesses at university. One failed. It was a campus newspaper that was supposed to be the move's eye. It failed. After that, I got some money. I started planting trees in the village. Right now, my trees are 5 years old. 5 years like this. Now, and I'm not sitting. That's the most important thing. I tell people that the moment you have desire, I have chapati stalls, much as I have a serious business. I call it serious because that's why I get what I eat. But the other one, I get money for spoiling other people. Yeah? Yes. I get money because we get calls. There are so many demands. So many. And the more we grow, the worse it becomes. Somebody calls you from the village, even those who don't have your contacts. Then your friends are telling you, please take me out because they know you're in business. But for you to protect your business, yeah, you have those small things. I can tell you the chapati business is, if you have 5 stalls, you're better than a person who goes to office. 5 stalls like this. A boda man can be better than you who goes to office because your cost of production is so high compared to his. So guys, let's get serious. There is a lot of money in Uganda. There are a lot of opportunities in Uganda that all of us can tap. The biggest challenge we have, we want to start big. And then most importantly, we all want to do things individually. For me, I'm into baking. But when I started baking, I had not baked, not even a cookie. You get what I'm talking about? I had not even baked a cookie because I was an admin. So when I learned the basics of the business, I got into it. I got somebody who knew. Right now, we are still partners. Whatever, because at that point, it was about money versus the skill. But I tell people the biggest capital in the business comes from you, the entrepreneur. They call it the entrepreneur, but take it so simple that me, the owner of the business, I must wake up in the morning, work. I tell people, don't wake up every morning from 6 to go back home at 8. Me, I go back home at midnight. I wake up at 9, 10, 11. Why? Even if I went in my office very early in the morning, I will have no work to do. So change certain things. Don't do things because everyone is doing. Don't go and open up a boutique because there is somebody else operating a boutique and is successful. There are so many dynamics in the business. But most important, if you fail to get started, you as you, look out for somebody who can help you get started. Am I clear? If you fail to get started, you as an individual, please look for somebody who is already there. Tell them, please, I also want to be like you. I'm called a Turbo James. Right now, Facebook knows me. I have more people on Facebook. They don't know me physically. It's always when we meet there and then say, oh, that's a Turbo James. Now they go back to, because it is a Turbo James marketing classic. So, oh, that's the guy who markets his cakes and the catering services. So we better get serious. There is a lot of money in the market because this gentleman visited me last year. I'm 3 times what I was last year. 3 times. Nelson came. He got me in a very big place. Standalone house. I set up a baking shop. I came driving, by the way, which I didn't do last year. Because one of the things I take most is that I must grow every day. And amid this, that my clients are happy, my workmates are happy. I train on a daily. I have over 100 bakers that I have trained, and they are doing home business. Most of you are looking for money to rent. Start from home. Some of you have a lot of land in the village. You're here crying for us. Eh? Lot of land. Don't do much. Just go plant trees, leave them there. Come to Kampala, hustle. When life gets to the worst, after 5 years, 10 years, you'll be a billionaire. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm called Phoebe, and I work with MTN. And I'm happy to be here to listen to all of you. My question when I'm sitting with young people and really motivated to be in your presence, you panelists who have made it, is purpose. How do we guide young people to know their purpose? We are training lots of people from universities, but are unsure of, do I do administration after doing business administration? Do I need to start up a business? Do I do, when I finish my medical course, do I go to hospital or do I come to MTN? How did you find your purpose? How did you know that this is it? How did you make it to say, okay, now I'm going to hustle for this. I'm good at this, and this is what I'm called for. When Jamila talks about her girls, you see the passion. How does a young person today know that this is it, that this is what I'm going to hustle for, this is what I'm going to sleep at midnight for, and wake up at 6? What is that thing? How did you make it?
Thank you. I think
For me, my answer will be shaky. I'm still looking for it. Let me.
To be honest, that's a tough question. It's a self-discovery. When I was at Nabisunsa, I was in every club. I was on the cabinet of every club. I even started a club. I'm a kind of, I believe when you're discovering, don't be afraid to try out everything. Yeah. Of course, apart from a Muslim, don't try out eating pork. And yeah. So try out everything, because when you try out everything, it's when you discover what you love. I believe in doing what you love, because when you create a business in something in what you love, it's easy for you, because it's fun to go to work. These girls know me when I'm at the garage. I'm happy. Even when I come back when maybe I've quarreled with my husband, I'm happy. So what I'm saying is that even when I finished campus, when I was at campus, I was still volunteering in a number of organizations. Yeah. So I came discovering that when I was at Nabisusa, I was in every club. I noticed I like giving back. I don't like just having things to myself. I feel so much happy when I've changed someone else's life. Yeah. When I left campus and started working at SMS1 as in marketing, because I started in marketing, I'm very good at marketing. I can sell you yourself. I can sell your lipstick. I can tell you buy your lipstick and you buy it. I'm very good at sales and marketing. I did it for a big time with SMS1, but I am good at doing it. But it's not something that I loved. Or you get what I'm saying? I was still at SMS1. I was still volunteering with a number of organizations. So when I was volunteering, I volunteered with an HIV organization. I volunteered with advocacy, policy changing, gender equality. But I noticed with the trend of all the volunteer workers doing, even when it came to marketing, when I would reach to marketing to a lady, I was more happy when she bought SMSs and they changed her business. I sat down and noticed I like creating change in my fellow girls, yeah, and women. And even with the trend of the volunteer workers doing it, there's so many organizations I volunteered in. Guys, voluntary work is the best thing ever. And I would suggest for a young person who is discovering their purpose, they should volunteer. Because when you volunteer, you're like, I went to some organization and we were talking about what he's saying, that the earth and change what you're doing. Yeah. I'm good at that too, but it was not my thing. It wasn't my thing. You understand? I was happy being there, but I was not the hyped Mayanja Jamila. No. But when I went to, let me say, UONET and volunteered to try and talk to girls about gender-based violence, I was passionate. I found this girl who was being better. I told her, my friend, let me go and take you and then teach you self-defense classes. So you see the difference. Yeah, change the earth. It's important. Let me tell you, you should go report that man. You get the difference. Yeah. I even slept on it. I even called the director. By the way, I think we need to build an app and tell those girls. So you see that I kept on building other things with the girls, which was the team I work with. I keep on with the girls. I keep on bringing them different things because I love it. I feel it's my purpose. So the advice I would give you, try as many things as you can when you're still young. And out of those needs, I would suggest change a job. In a family where I created change when I don't even know about them. So that's my calling. So you can discover yours. Just take time and analyze yourself.
This one is my own life experience. Again, I'm an electrical engineering and generally sales and etc. How I ended up doing that was, as I was doing my engineering, that cast the technological trends. So let me just say I was a different type of volunteer. They practically didn't have to beg for me. They just said, this is opportunity. Why? Because now I had something extra to my engineering skills. So I ended up at Orange, made Orange lovely, and maybe AfriCell is riding off that. But what I wanted, like she said, purpose is, if you don't have a purpose, some people are very, very gifted with